Welcome back to the Graham Stephan Show and the never-ending saga of Shelby Church's Airbnb, because this thing has been a whirlwind of drama. It's lost money, it's made money, she's had issues, she got it recently photographed, and now we gotta see how much money it made in the year. As soon as you hit the like button and subscribe, because I guarantee this is gonna be a juicy one.
Like a lot of people during COVID, I fell into the dream of having passive income from a rental property.
But then everyone turned on Airbnb and it turned into a nightmare. No, I'm just kidding, but it definitely did change things quite a bit.
I decided to document and share the really honest truth of what it's like having an Airbnb.
Yeah, the issue with Airbnb is that a lot of cities are now against it because it takes away from the hotel industry that pays a lot of money to the city. So the city says, that's bad, you're a business owner, you shouldn't be taking the properties off the market for competing with hotels and, anyway. A lot of cities, Airbnbs are banned, parties are getting more enforced, how should I say that? They're cracking down a lot, so it makes Airbnb a lot more difficult. Plus, we got a bit of a recession going on here, so people are spending a little bit less, equating, of course, to less revenue.
We're finally at the 1 year mark, and I can share with you guys how much we really made, how much it all cost, and if it was even worth it. If you appreciate me sharing my honest experience, please give this video a like.
See, props to Shelby for actually sharing the numbers. A lot of people, if they were to lose money, would just simply not post about it. That's it, and then nobody ever knows. Chances are, though, even if she doesn't make money with the rental side of things, she still made money in equity, most likely, because she bought the property at a fairly decent time. She fixed it up. She had a lot of value. It looks totally different than it did when she bought it. And so she's making money either way. So let's make that clear from the beginning.
I'm going to start by telling you guys exactly how much we made in the first year. But first, I want to thank Dell for sponsoring this video.
This is their new Dell Latitude.
Gosh, but first we gotta thank iPhone for sponsoring our video. Jeez, just getting Dell to sponsor the video, that's fantastic. My first laptop ever was a Dell. Not Adele, not the singer, it was a Dell computer.
One really cool feature it has is called onlooker detection. It can tell when someone's looking at your screen from over your shoulder, and then it can hide your sensitive data.
What? That's crazy. How come Mac doesn't do that? Like, for instance, if you're getting a free stock down below in the description when you sign up with their sponsor, public.com, and use the code Graham and make a deposit, because that stock could be worth all the way to $1,000, that would be cool if the computer tells you, hey, your buddy over there is trying to see which free stock you got. So I'm just saying, that'd be a great feature for Apple.
Thank you to Dell for sponsoring this video. I'll have more info on the Dell Latitude 9330 linked down below.
It's a bad name though. That's the only downside. Like a 9250. What are they trying to do? What with 9250? Just call it like the Dell Inspiration Plus. It's just like come up with a cool, catchy name like that. That's all you need.
So I got all the numbers together, and in total, we made $81,861.
But that's revenue. That's not the profit. What's the profit after your expenses?
That's what I'd imagine people saying. Probably not. It's probably just me.
February, we blocked off 2 weeks for ourselves, family, and friends to use the house, so that limited our bookings for that month as well.
But March and April slayed, you guys. March and April both made $18,000 each.
That's fantastic. See, those are the 2 months that really make the entire year. It's almost worth it just to live there full time, block it off for 2 months, rent it out, get your cash, and then move back in it.
And then the summer was pretty bad. It was like $1,500 per month on average. Because it's really hot here, it's seasonal, it's normal, pretty much every house is more vacant in the summertime. November was still a little slow, which surprised me. We had 1 booking for Thanksgiving and that was it. And then December is looking like it's gonna be $11,238.
Wow, why is it so high in December? I have a feeling she went through in a previous video and took really nice pictures of it. The new pictures could help. And those new pictures could easily add, an extra $25,000, $30,000 in revenue just for really good pictures. Or she's talking about it in YouTube videos and the subscribers and viewers saw that and wanted to stay there too.
I think a lot of people just assume it's about whatever the mortgage is, but there's actually a lot more expenses than that. Here's a quick breakdown of some of our monthly expenses. First is electricity, which averaged to be about $550 per month.
Wow, that's a lot. This could be one of those instances though where you do solar. You could get the, well, I don't know, you can't get the full write-off for 2023. You could have for 2022. That basically means that you're able to take the full cost of it, depreciate it year one, and get a tax credit back. So that's pretty cool. So that would take this down substantially, and then you just do the cost-benefit analysis of like, probably going to take about 8 years to pay itself off. That works out to be 13% return, give or take. Not bad. And that brings his cost down.
The actual vacation rental permit, which is $1,000 a year in Palm Springs.
Wow, $1,000 a year just for a permit. What do they do? What do they do? That's just money to the city. That's just like, hey, we're gonna try to take some money from you. Give us $1,000. Just like, all right, fine.
The pool's not heated. It's like $20 a month, but in the peak season, it can be like $2,000 a month.
Gosh, that's keeping the pool heated every single day, probably at like 80 degrees. I wouldn't even bother heating it, but you know what? If you say it's a heated pool, maybe that increases bookings.
Guests do pay for this, but we have to eat some of the costs.
We also have a security system that's $25 a month.
How is that not sponsored by Simply Safe? Simply Safe has been a sponsor of the channel for years now. They're fantastic. This video is not sponsored by Simply Safe, but I do genuinely like their product. I have Simply Safe. I've used Simply Safe a lot. You know what? I'll put an old link of the Simply Safe in the description if you guys are interested. Again, they're not sponsoring this video. I like them a lot.
And in reality, it's even more than this. Many of you know the AC unit broke and it was $14,000 for a new one. And there were other times a handyman had to come fix things. In general, the expenses just end up being quite a bit more than just the mortgage.
So in total, before property management fees, the cost to run this place is, drumroll, $80,914.
Wow, that's a lot. Now, here's the thing though, is that, I bet she's got a good mortgage payment on that, meaning that she's got a low interest rate. Some of that is going to be principal. So not all interest. A lot of that's tax deductible. But yeah, there's not a lot of meat on the bone on this one. It's, that's a tight business. It's not really worth it to rent it out like that. Could be an opportunity to sell the property and flip it though.
We pay our property manager 18% of each booking. In total for the year, that ended up being $14,000. So the actual total expense to run this place was $94,967. So we are ending the year down $13,106 when you only factor in cash flow.
And cash flow can be great, but it's not even the full picture. We also have to factor in the home equity that we've gained and home appreciation.
There we go. See, this is where she's making her money. But you know what? Like, I'm sure in hindsight, for the amount of work that she put into the property, she would have been better off just flipping and selling it, just fixing it up, doing a great job on that, selling it, taking the profit, learning a great lesson from it, and then doing it again. That could be a great opportunity here.
But in total, since purchasing it, the house at this point has appreciated $450,000. And this increase is definitely unusual. Usually houses only appreciate like 3% a year, but in the last couple years, it ended up being closer to 10 to 15% per year, which is crazy and not sustainable.
Yeah, that's absurd. I mean, I don't know how sustainable that is. I mean, you could see from 2011 to 2012, that kind of makes sense because we saw such a big reaction. We saw such a big decrease in prices. So a lot of that through 2019 was a combination of just like excess demand. People were back in the housing market after it had been hit so hard. These last few years, I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical to see what sort of returns we're going to see over the next 10 years. Now, could be a good time to get those profits, flip it, turn it into something else, but yeah, who knows?
So we're ending numbers. Cash flow, we're down $13,000. Equity, we're up $11,000. And yearly home appreciation, we're up about $200,000. So while the cash flow wasn't that great, at the end of the day, we're still up almost $250,000 for the year.
The thing that sucks on that, though, is the state of California is going to get their fair share if you decide to sell it. Now, here's the deal, okay? So she's in at about $950,000. The house is worth, let's say, 1.2. So right now she has $250,000 worth of equity. But here's the issue. You go and sell it, you're gonna pay about 6%, sometimes 6.5% for closing costs. That includes commission, escrow, fees, all this other transfer taxes. It adds up. So anyway, that's about 6%. That means she's walking away with about $1,120,000. Again, she's in at $950,000, meaning she's got a profit of $170,000 in 1 year. But here's the thing. She's going to be taxed as long-term capital gains, and she's going to be taxed by the state of California, probably another 10%, let's just say. That means she's getting taxed about 30% on this $170,000, which means she walks away with $119,000 worth of profit in the year. It's not bad, but when you consider she had $250,000, she's left with $119,000. Half of it is gone. That's the downside. But the upside is that $119,000 in a year is fantastic. Just consider that that $119,000 is due to a year that just went crazy for real estate values.
It may just be the Palm Springs market. It's a competitive market out here. There's a lot of amazing houses and a lot of restrictions and how and when you can rent it out. The limited number of rental contracts per year makes it very hard to break even.
What? Come on, what is this? Vacation rentals have an annual limit for guest stays, which is 32 guest stays per calendar year with an additional 4 guests during. So what? Come on. Now, home shares do not have annual limits, so if you live in the property, you're fine to rent it out as much as you want, but still they're putting so many limits on Airbnb, it's gonna throw a wrench to a lot of people's plans.
Honestly, I get a lot of backlash for sharing it, but this is the truth about Airbnb. I have no incentive to promote Airbnb. I don't know if Airbnb is such a good investment in 2023, and we will get into that in a different video.
Yeah, overall, I think it's kind of what I would expect. I mean, it's not gonna be as lucrative as what you think, but I do have to say she did a great job fixing up the property. She's in a position where she could sell it for a profit. She's made a decent amount of money in the year. I would say at this point, she's got enough experience to potentially try flipping a property of her own if she finds a good enough deal, or replicates this in another area that could have a lot of tourism demand. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, feel free to add me on Instagram, and also, no, you know what? Just subscribe. That's it. We're getting close to 1 million subscribers. If you're watching this right now, it would mean a lot. Thank you so much, and until next time.